Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. I'm Basil,
And I'm Baz.
and we are recording Sunday, September 15th, 2024. Got an early episode coming at you this morning, or us recording early. We want to get all the recording done before the game start. Right, son? Right, Dad?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I can't wait. It's going to be a good day of football.
Yeah. As you can tell, we got a new episode coming at you with this because it's my dad's in Phoenix right now doing a training. I'm back home in the Springs. I'm going to the Broncos game today. He's not going to be going to a Cardinals game today, but that's okay. But he's hanging out there with all of his family and everything while he's on training for work. So we're trying to make this work with our first ever Google Meet recording. So hopefully everything works out, but we'll see how things go. All right, let's go ahead and go over the episode. We're going to talk about the Eagles and Falcons Monday night game tomorrow night, and then also talk about some injuries, some other sports. You know, the same thing as always. We're going to go ahead and give a little plug to the Philadelphia Eagles fan group of Colorado Springs, or the Philadelphia Eagles fan club of Colorado Springs. We usually meet at Frankie's, but we're meeting at Rhino's right now to watch the games. So Monday night we'll be at Rhino's to watch the Eagles take on the Falcons. Hopefully we have as good of a turnout as we did last time. I mean, last time I was blown away by how many people we had, right, Dad?
It was amazing. We had like 50, 60. I think Mike said we had 60 to 70 people there. Raucous crowd, loud. They were very accommodating at the bar there. The waitresses were great. The food was amazing. I mean, so I don't know how much, if you had any food, but it was great. And the beer was good. It was really a good time, good place to meet. And we're very thankful for Rhinos for letting us get together there.
Yeah. I had their Philly cheesesteak, and I was actually very surprised. I thought it was really good. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, let's go into the matchup. So the Eagles will be playing the Falcons Monday night at 6:15 p.m. our time, 8:15 back east, which I know we always talk about it, but man, 8:15, like I didn't think about that when I was, in high school and college and everything because I stayed up late. But now I wake up at 5 to go to the gym. So 8:15, I mean, that's when the game starts. That's insane.
That's crazy. Yes.
I mean, it's the same way I feel like last night with college football, or last week at like ASU starts at 8:30, and you're like, it's 10:30 back, or it's 11:30, or no, yeah, 10:30 back east. How are they gonna watch this game?
Yeah.
There's just no way.
It's definitely a different situation, and that's kind of what hurts a lot of the people that play on the West Coast for their Heisman Trophy chances, because a lot of those games, it's too late for the guys that have been watching the games all day to stay up till 1:30 in the morning to see how it ends. So it's kind of nuts.
Especially on Saturday nights because they get ready for Sunday mornings, and they're all on TV shows and everything. So yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Playing Monday night 6:15. Do you have a little weather report to go over for us?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty good weather for the game. It's going to be in the low 60s, and the humidity is going to be high. But I mean, that's a perfect setup for football. No rain in the forecast. No rain the day before, so the field's not going to be wet or anything like that. They're calling for rain on Tuesday, but by then the game will be over and everybody will be home. So yeah, it should be a good game. No sloppy fields. Everybody knows what shoes to wear, so it should be much better than last week's game.
Yeah, very nice to be back in the link, back in our own home stadium, definitely.
For sure.
For our second home game of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Rip off. But
yeah,
you get a win, you take the win, home or away.
Absolutely.
But this time we'll count that as the home win.
Definitely. All right, let's go into the all-time record between the Eagles and Falcons. So all-time, Eagles lead 21-15-1. We're up 3-1 in the postseason, and in the last 25 years, I have us at 12-5. So I don't know if you realize that it's been a pretty one-sided rivalry. I wouldn't say it's a rivalry because it's not, the division. They are in conference. There is people that say like it kind of grew when we beat them in the NFC the NFC divisional round. Yeah. And then it kind of grew more through other sports with our rivalry with the Atlanta Braves, sort of with the Atlanta Hawks and basketball and everything like that. So I don't know what you have to say about that, but what do you think?
Again, yeah, it's not really a rivalry. I don't think there's many times we've come up, after we beat them in the division round in 2017, 2018, we played them again the next season for the opener, I believe.
That's right.
We beat them barely. And then we played them again a year or two later, and that's when they lost that Monday night game on that one last minute touchdown by Jones, Julio Jones.
Yeah, that was 2019.
Fourth
Yeah.
down, I think 4th and 5 or something. So, I mean, but other than that, since then, we haven't barely played them. So, it's not like
yeah. They even have it listed like on the Wikipedia page as a rivalry with the conference, talking about the rivalry first emerged when the Falcons upset the Eagles in the '78 wild card round, and it only intensified during the 2000 thanks to the rivalry between prominent dual threat quarterbacks Donovan McNabb and Michael Vick. And then recently, the Eagles' path to winning Super Bowl 52 included a 2017 divisional round victory over the Falcons. So
yeah,
they take it as official, which I mean is cool. I always enjoy another rivalry.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
But it's not. There's no intense hatred for the Falcons. So
yeah, not at all.
Except for Monday night. No.
No. I mean, we kind of covered some previous matchups, so I was going to ask, do you have a favorite matchup or a memorable or least favorite matchup? I know we kind of touched on a little bit, but
yeah, I'd say
of all time, like in games.
The Monday night game we lost to him, I think in 2019 is my guess.
Yeah.
I was actually traveling, so I was not home. I was watching the game in a hotel, and I remember, it was pretty close game, and we had them down to 4th down, probably 30 or 40 yards out, maybe 4th and 5, I think. And they threw that
4th and 1. Yeah.
Quick pass to Jones, and he took it for a touchdown. So that was a bad memory, I guess you'd say. But it's funny because when you mentioned the all-time record, there wasn't a game that really stuck out except for the playoffs of the Super Bowl run, and then the next year when we opened the season with them. I don't really have any long-term memory of any of the big games against them. So
yeah, the biggest thing I remember
constitute a rivalry. So
yeah, the biggest thing I remember about that game, the one you're talking about, the 2019 Week 2. I know it shouldn't be the one we're most memorable, but I remember it so well being in my dorm room, or actually I was in my apartment at that point. But Carson Wentz, he threw 3 interceptions that game. Matt Ryan threw 3 interceptions. Wentz threw 2. It was a terrible game. But I remember the big thing before that game was that was the year we had Deshaun back. We had D-Jack back.
Oh, okay.
That was a Week 2 game, but in Week 1 he had 159 yards, 2 touchdowns, and we were like, Deshaun's back. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, the Week 2 started. He wasn't even in the game. And I remember being like, what? And then Goddard wasn't in the game. I don't even think Alshon was in the game.
Wow.
We had Aguilar, but Aguilar, remember he dropped the touchdown?
Yes.
On the sideline, wide open, he dropped it. He could have took it in for a touchdown. Oh, just brutal. Yeah. Brutal. But okay, we don't talk about that. Sorry.
No, yeah. And like say Deshaun, I don't think he played again that season, maybe one more game or something.
I think he played maybe one more game that season. Yeah, that was weird. That was so weird. Let's go into some key matchups. So I'll go with my key matchup first for this game. I have written down Jalen Hurts versus himself. I think this is a team, the Falcons. I mean, this is a team we should beat easily. I don't think we should struggle. We should beat them easily, handedly, and the only reason we won't is if Jalen does what he did last week. If he tries to force it downfield, if he tries to force it into spots it doesn't need to go, or kind of forgets to look off certain safeties and corners and stuff like that. I think it's Jalen versus himself on that situation. They got a good defense. They got a ball hawk defense with Justin Simmons and AJ Terrell and the other. I mean, I'm not even saying the other guy, Jesse Bates. He's got the most interceptions the last 2-3 seasons, I think.
Oh wow!
But if Hurts can't, it's one thing to have a pass and the guy goes up and great catch and everything. But last week that wasn't what it was. He was throwing it wide. He was throwing it right to the other guy's team.
Triple coverage, quadruple coverage. Yeah. So I do know that one of the Falcons starting linebackers, not going to be in the game, and that kind of changes the dynamic because, from what I heard, he was an undrafted player, but he's really good. He's starting last year and this year, and now he's not going to be in the game. He hasn't practiced all week, so that kind of changes a little bit of the dynamic. So hopefully we can take advantage of the middle of the field there. Maybe hopefully run the ball as effective as we did last week, or even more effective than we did. Maybe work a couple of the other backs in because I know Barkley really did well, but we want to preserve him for the whole season. So if we have to use Shipley or Gainwell, I'm all for it. I'd like to see Gainwell get, just a little bit more involved in the game, just so we can have that dual threat, if you will, and he kind of keep the defenses off kilter. Maybe do
Yeah.
The Shipley and Gainwell in the backfield as a dual back situation, just so Barkley can kind of have his breaks, just so we can just continue to use him effectively like we did last week. And last week he was a surprise to the league, I believe. No one was expecting him to do what he did last week, and it's pretty amazing, especially against a team like the Packers, who up and coming, great defense. They got a great defense as well, and so I think there was a big surprise factor there with the Barkley, just destroying him, running all over him. He was killing it.
Yeah,
so that's
definitely
what I'm hoping to see.
Yep. Let's talk a little bit about the Falcons offense. So we didn't break that down as one of our biggest matchups. So it's not a thing that we seem to have in the front of our mind as a threat, but it is important to note, they've got guys all over the field that can make plays. They've got
big names.
They've got Bijan in the backfield, who, he's on his way to being a top 5 running back in the league. Not in history. I'm not saying that yet, but in the league. Then they've got Kyle Pitts, who, great rookie season, hasn't really redone it since. And then Drake London, who's also a really great player. And then, of course, at quarterback, they've got a seasoned veteran who I don't want to say is great, but, can get the ball to you. You know what I mean?
Well, he can be a thorn in the side. He's played well in certain situations. We all know his record in primetime games is not the best, but that that's just, let's throw that away because it doesn't matter. You got to get to him. You got to knock him off his spot, because if he gets comfortable back there, he can kick some butt for sure.
No,
so
definitely.
Last week, not so much, but we'll see what happens. But we can keep on the run like Pittsburgh did last week. That should be a big feather in our cap.
Yeah, hopefully we can pressure him as much as we did, or not as much as Pittsburgh did, which I don't know about. But
that's kind of my matchup is this week, is to see how well our defensive ends can get in there. Last week, we can excuse them because of the field conditions and the slipping going on, but we really need to see our defensive ends, not our middle, which really did well last week, but we need our ends to make some noise. I want to see Smith and Sweat and Huff, hopefully, and BG played great last week too for a guy that in his 15th season. He made a couple hits behind the line and was as resourceful as he can be. So hopefully we can get the ends to get some sacks this week and make some noise, because it's been the sack thing hasn't happened for us here in the last the end of last year and this year so far. So hopefully that's what I'm looking for. That's going to be my focus early on.
Let's do it. Gotcha. Let's go into some injuries real quick. So the full injury report looks like, I believe it's the final, is out here right now. So A.J. Brown, hamstring, was a limited participant, didn't participate Saturday. He's listed as questionable. Not what I like to see. Fred Johnson, our tackle, he's listed unspecified with his thumb. Isaiah Rodgers, his hand. Tyler Steen, ankle. Devin White, ankle. Milton Williams, foot. None of them are designated as questionable or doubtful or anything like that. And then Johnny Wilson, his hamstring as well, he's designated as questionable.
Okay.
Like you mentioned before, they do have 2 guys missing. Antonio Hamilton, who I believe is, I don't know, is their second or third corner, and then Nate Landman, their starting linebacker that you talked about.
He's out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the one thing I did read a few articles about Devin White and, N'Kobe obviously is the starter, but, we were talking about that, and hopefully he's back and, he can get some playing time, because, we love how Dean played last week, but we'd love to see Devin White get in there and also show us something. So we know that we've got those 2 guys back there that can, push each other this year to become better, and maybe both want to be the starters. And, I have no problem with anybody pushing somebody else to play better. So, but I got to say, N'Kobe Dean was incredible last week, and hopefully he can keep this month run that he's had here since, the end of the second, third half preseason, where he started to really emerge as the guy we wanted last year. So we're hoping that he can continue to do that this year. And again, Devin White gets in there and plays great. We'll be all for that too.
I agree with you. All right, let's jump into some other sports real quick. So the Sixers, I got nothing. The Phillies, they lost game one to the Mets. They won last night 6-4. Pretty good game going on there. That was nice to see. And they'll be playing again at 11:35 this morning. So it'll be a pretty early game. I don't think I'll be keeping an eye on that because I'm going to be busy with some other football stuff. So the Union, they lost 3-1 to Inter Miami last night. Messi scored 2 goals.
No.
Yep, Suarez scored 1. So we started off, Ure had the first goal. We were up 1-0, and then they had we scored in the first minute, in the first, like in the 59th second we scored, and then after that Messi and Suarez kind of took the game over, back and forth with each other. So not too much of a surprise. We kind of expected something like that, but still it's cool to see Messi kind of score on my team.
Yeah, well, it's cool that he played. So I'm glad to see he's back. I know he's missed a lot of the season, and those people are paying astronomical prices for their tickets. So for them to get him to play and see him on the field is awesome. So.
Yeah. And then, of course, for the Flyers, I don't have anything in Penn State in the bye week right now. So we'll be back next week playing against Kent, right?
Yes, Kent State.
There we go. Okay, cool. Well, then let's go ahead and say our goodbyes. Hopefully everything works out here all good. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe down below. Comment any thoughts you have on the game coming up or on this week of football. Email us your questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles fly.